At exactly 9:30 a.m., a birthday celebration turned into a fight for survival on the edge of a 1,000-foot cliff. Hi everyone, my name is Sophie, and today we're going to take a look at another horrible case with you. Dr. Ghart Koig seemed to have everything most people could only dream of. At 46, he was a respected anesthesiologist with an impressive career that had taken him from the prestigious halls of the University of Pittsburgh to the tropical paradise of Maui, Hawaii. He had earned his medical degree from the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine and spent nearly a decade as both a clinical instructor and assistant professor there, while simultaneously working as a staff anesthesiologist at UPMC. Born in South Africa, Ghart had built a new life in America. According to his LinkedIn profile, he spent 9 years employed by UPMC as an anesthesiology resident and staff anesthesiologist, then 7 years at Pitt School of Medicine as a clinical instructor and assistant professor. His colleagues respected him, his patients trusted him, and his expertise in managing pain and consciousness during surgery was unquestionable. But behind this polished exterior lay a more complicated story. Ghart had been married before to Jessica Patella, a union that lasted 15 years and produced 2 children before ending in divorce in October 2014. Jessica was granted custody of their 2 children, now 19 and 22. The reasons for that divorce would remain private, but it marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. On September 4th, 2018, Ghart married Ariel Worthington, a brilliant nuclear engineer 10 years his junior. Ariel had studied nuclear engineering at Penn State University from 2007 to 2011 and earned her Master of Business Administration in 2021 from the University of Pittsburgh's Katz Graduate School of Business. For more than 11 years, she had worked at Westinghouse Electric Company in fuel engineering before joining TerraPower LLC in September 2022, a cutting-edge nuclear energy company based in Bellevue, Washington. The couple welcomed their first son, Olin, in 2019, followed by their second son, Vigo, in 2022. They lived in a beautiful 6-bedroom house on Mount, Lebanon's leafy Roycroft Avenue that Ghart eventually sold for $1.3 million in November 2022. By all outward appearances, they were the picture of success, 2 highly educated professionals building a family together. In December 2022, Ghart and Ariel bought a stunning 5-bedroom house in a cul-de-sac nestled in the foothills of the West Maui Mountains for $1.5 million. Their housekeeper, Christina Ferguson, would later tell reporters she never saw this coming and described always seeing Ghart loving with the kids and with her, and that he seemed very family-oriented. Here's what's terrifying about this case, and what makes it so important to understand. Ghart wasn't some obvious monster. He was a doctor, a professor, a father. He hosted neighborhood parties and seemed like the perfect husband. This is exactly how domestic abuse hides in plain sight. The most dangerous abusers are often the ones who look the most normal on the outside. The move to Hawaii represented everything they had worked for. A dream life in paradise where Ghart could practice medicine in one of the most beautiful places on earth, while Ariel continued her groundbreaking work in nuclear engineering remotely. In March 2023, Ghart joined the Anesthesia Medical Group in Honolulu as a partner, and their new life seemed complete. But paradise has a way of revealing the darkness that people carry within themselves. In December 2024, something shifted in their marriage. Ghart accused Ariel of having an affair, an accusation that would unleash what she later described as extreme jealousy that fundamentally changed their relationship. What had once been a partnership built on mutual respect and shared ambitions became something far more sinister. Ghart began attempting to control and monitor all of my communications, Ariel would later write in court documents. The brilliant, independent woman who had built a career in one of the most demanding fields in science suddenly found herself under constant surveillance by the man who claimed to love her. And here's the thing that people don't realize about controlling behavior. It doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual. First, he may ask something like, "Who was that texting you?" Then, "Why didn't you tell me about that?" Before you know it, they're monitoring your every move. Gerhart used his accusation of infidelity as a justification to invade every aspect of Ariel's privacy. Classic manipulation. The couple sought help, attending both individual therapy and couples counseling in an attempt to save their marriage. But therapy sessions couldn't address what was growing inside Gerhart, a possessiveness so intense it would eventually consume everything in its path. According to Ariel's later court filings, Gerhart had begun sexually abusing and assaulting her over the months leading up to March 2025. The man who had taken an oath to do no harm was systematically destroying the woman he had vowed to love and protect. On April 29, 2024, Gerhart had hosted a party at their residence in Maui County, attended by neighbours including Lee Hearn and Peter Mast. To the outside world, they still appeared to be the perfect couple living their dream life. No one could have imagined what was happening behind closed doors. As 2024 turned into 2025, Ariel found herself trapped in a marriage that had become a prison. The man she had loved and trusted was becoming someone she barely recognized, controlling, jealous, and increasingly dangerous. But she couldn't have known that the worst was yet to come. Looking back, those closest to the couple would search for warning signs they might have missed. But Gerhart was skilled at maintaining his facade, a doctor respected by his peers, and seemingly devoted to his family. The truth was darker than anyone could have imagined. In March 2025, as Ariel's 36th birthday approached, Gerhart suggested something that seemed like a romantic gesture: a weekend getaway to Oahu to celebrate. They would stay in a hotel in Waikiki while their 2 young sons, ages 2 and 4, remained at home in Maui with their nanny and family. For Ariel, this trip represented hope. Perhaps getting away from the stresses of daily life could help them reconnect. Perhaps the therapy was working. Perhaps the man she had fallen in love with was still there, underneath all the jealousy and control. She had no way of knowing that Gerhart had very different plans for their romantic getaway. On March 24th, 2025, Gerhart suggested they hike to the Nu'uanu Pali Lookout, a popular tourist destination offering breathtaking panoramic views of Oahu's windward coast. The lookout sits more than 1,000 feet above sea level, providing stunning vistas of the sheer Ko'olau cliffs and lush valleys below. It's the kind of place where couples come to take romantic photos and create lasting memories. The trail they chose, known as the Pali Puka Trail, had narrow sections with steep drop-offs on both sides. What is known as Pali Puka Trail is actually closed because the route is unsafe, with the State Department of Land and Natural Resources warning hikers not to go beyond warning signs. Hikers often enter through a small clearing near the popular lookout point despite a warning: "Area closed. Do not go beyond this sign." During the hike, Ariel began to feel uneasy. Something about the way Gerhart was behaving, the isolated location, the dangerous terrain, it all combined to create a sense of dread she couldn't shake. She told Gerhart she didn't want to go any further, and stayed put while he went on ahead for a bit, then came back. At one point, Ariel climbed a tree and Gerhart snapped a picture of her, a moment that would later seem hauntingly innocent given what was about to unfold. The photo captured a smiling woman enjoying what she thought was a romantic birthday celebration with her husband. Then Gerhart suggested they take a selfie close to the edge of the cliff. Ariel told him she felt dizzy and asked if they could move away from the edge. It was a reasonable request from someone standing on a narrow trail hundreds of feet above the valley floor. Stop right here. This moment. This is when Gerhart made his move. Think about this. He planned a birthday trip, suggested this specific trail, and then insisted on a photo at the most dangerous spot. This wasn't random. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was calculated. He brought her to the perfect place where an accident could happen. But reasonable was the last thing on Gerhart's mind. When Ariel got close to her husband, Gerhart grabbed me by my upper arms and started pushing me back towards the cliff edge. He was yelling something to the effect of, Get back over there, I'm so fucking sick of you, and continued to push me. At first, I thought he was joking, Ariel would later write, but I quickly realised he was seriously trying to make me fall off the cliff. The birthday celebration had become a nightmare, and it was just beginning. Ariel threw herself to the ground, desperate to get away from the cliff's edge. I was screaming and pleading with him to stop, asking him to think about our children. She would later recount. If I had fallen off the cliff, I would have likely died. But Gerhart wasn't finished. As they struggled on the ground, Gerhart grabbed his bag and took out a syringe with an unknown substance, attempting to inject me with it. Here was a man using his medical knowledge not to heal, but to harm. I do not know what was in the syringe, but Gerhart is an anesthesiologist and has access to several potentially lethal medications as part of his employment, Ariel would later write. She bit his arm in self-defense. When the syringe failed to work, Gerhart's violence escalated to a level that would haunt everyone who heard about it. He picked up a rock and struck her on the head approximately 10 times while also grabbing the back of her hair and smashing her face into the ground. The rock was described as jagged and softball-sized lava rock. This is what attempted murder looks like. Not a single blow in anger, 10 deliberate strikes with a rock while holding her down. He tried to push her off a cliff, then poison her with drugs, then bludgeon her to death. When one method failed, he immediately switched to another. This man had a plan, and backup plans. Attempting to defend herself, Ariel suffered a broken left thumb. The woman, who had dedicated her career to advancing nuclear technology, one of the most precise and demanding fields in science, was fighting for her life against the man who had promised to love and protect her. Around 10:30 a.m. local time, 2 women hiking in the area heard a woman repeatedly screaming, "Help! Help me!" When they rushed to investigate, they found a girl lying on her back in the grass with a man on top of her, hitting her on the head. The witnesses shouted that they were calling 911, and Gerhart suddenly stopped the attack. They rushed to help Ariel, guiding her down the trail to safety, while Gerhart fled in another direction. Ariel was transported to Queen's Medical Center in Honolulu in serious but stable condition with severe face and head injuries. Her injuries were so severe they required surgery. But she was alive, something that seemed almost miraculous given the brutality of the attack. After the attack, according to Ariel's later court filing, Gerhart FaceTimed his adult son from his first marriage while covered in blood and said, "I just tried to kill Ariel, but she got away." The petition also states he told his son he wanted to kill himself by jumping off a cliff. He just attempted to murder his wife, and his first instinct isn't to get help or turn himself in. It's to call his son and essentially brag about what he'd done. She got away, like he was disappointed his plan didn't work. This shows zero remorse, zero humanity, just frustration that his victim escaped. It was a confession that would prove crucial in the case against him. But first, police had to find him. Police launched an immediate search for Ghart Koig, putting out a wanted poster with his photo and identifying him as an attempted murder suspect. For more than 8 hours, he managed to evade capture, hiding somewhere in the rugged terrain around the Pali Lookout. According to prosecutors, Gerhart hid in the bushes until nightfall, even though the attack happened in the morning, and led police on a search. He also called his adult son and told him he would turn off his phone so that police could not locate him. Finally, at approximately 6:45 p.m., police arrested Gerhart near Pali Highway after a brief foot pursuit. When he was apprehended, he said, "Wait, she's not dead?" According to prosecutors, those 4 words tell you everything you need to know about Ghart Koig. Not, "Is she okay?" Not, "I'm sorry," but disappointment that his murder attempt failed. He spent 8 hours hiding, probably hoping she would die from her injuries. When he found out she survived, he was shocked. Not relieved, shocked. Gerhart was charged with second-degree attempted murder and initially held on $5 million bail. Later, he was indicted by a grand jury on March 28th and has been held without bail since. The investigation was far from over. As detectives dug deeper into the case, they would uncover evidence that suggested this attack wasn't a moment of temporary insanity, It was all planned. The investigation revealed disturbing evidence of premeditation. Prosecutors discovered that just days after the attack, Ariel found a fanny pack belonging to her husband containing several syringes and vials of what appeared to be anesthesia medications. At their Maui home, investigators found additional syringes, needles and vials labelled with anesthesia drugs. This is where Gerhardt's medical training becomes absolutely chilling. He didn't just have access to these drugs. He knew exactly how to use them to kill someone. He packed a murder kit. As a doctor, he understood dosages, effects, and how to make someone unconscious or worse. He weaponized his medical knowledge against his own wife. On April 7th, 2025, Gerhardt appeared virtually from jail and pleaded not guilty to attempted second-degree murder. His attorney, Thomas Otaka, argued for bail, noting Gerhardt's clean record, but prosecutors countered with evidence of his flight risk and danger to the victim. Meanwhile, Ariel filed for divorce, seeking full custody of their children while focusing on her recovery. Ariel is focusing on her recovery at home in Maui with the support of her family, her attorney said. But for Gerhardt, there would be no escape from the consequences of his actions. As of August 2025, Gerhardt remains in custody awaiting trial, scheduled for September 2025. If convicted of attempted second-degree murder, he faces up to life in prison. Ariel has committed to testifying against her husband, with her attorney stating she does intend to testify at trial. Here's what I want everyone watching this to understand. Ariel was a nuclear engineer. She was brilliant, accomplished, financially independent. She had every advantage, every resource, and she still almost died at the hands of her husband. If it can happen to her, it can happen to anyone. The idea that only certain types of women end up in abusive relationships is a dangerous myth. Ariel Koig survived against all odds. She fought back, escaped, and lived to tell her story. For every woman trapped in an abusive relationship, her survival offers hope.